What's going on, nation? Today we're going to have some fun and talk about some of the dumb stuff I used to teach all of you. Now, I don't think I've ever taught anything dangerous, or at least not that I know of, but I believe in order to become a great trainer, you need to always be learning new things, and interacting with you guys for over 10 years has really helped me become the best version of myself. I'm serious, guys. And to be honest, this is my hope with the Insta-Gahhhbage series. I believe in constructive criticism, and there is nothing wrong with being wrong. That's how we learn and grow, and I have no embarrassment in admitting some of my own faults, which there are very, very few of. Right, Ricky? Yeah. So today, I want to go over 6 fitness tips that I regret teaching you guys. But before we get started, actually, you know what, Ricky? I just had an amazing idea. You guys should DM me on Instagram videos of yourselves saying, before we get started, so I can use them in my videos. So whenever I'm about to say it, I'll just switch to one of you guys. So I want you to use your best Boston accents and send them over to me, ScottHermanFitness on Instagram. But once again, before we get started, make sure you guys are subscribed for more great content, and please give that like button a tap, because those likes are what help my channel continue to grow, and I would really like to hit 3 million subs by the end of the year. So let's do it. All right, guys, number 1, eat small meals every 2 to 3 hours to boost your metabolism. Yeah, I used to be an advocate of small meals every couple of hours, guys, all right? I would recommend my clients split up their meals into smaller portions throughout the day so that they can accelerate their metabolism and keep fueling their muscles with protein throughout the day, which we now know is ridiculous, right? The thermic effect of food is not impacted by eating the same amount of calories a day, but just split into smaller portions. It doesn't make any sense. Now, is that strategy 100% ineffective? No, because some people, myself included, we just don't like to eat 1 or 2 big meals throughout the day. I like to personally split mine into smaller meals, because if I eat too much at once, I feel bloated and I don't like it. So it's just a personal choice. But today we know you don't have to consume small meals every couple of hours to sustain the protein synthesis process. In fact, as long as you're having enough calories and protein every single day, your body will know when and how to utilize each and every gram of protein so none of it goes to waste. You see, the problem is that back in the day, I was looking at the small picture. But if you look at the big picture, you'll quickly realize that the human body is smart and it doesn't create or waste gains in a day-to-day basis. Instead, you have to look at it from a weekly or a monthly point of view. Just because you didn't consume any protein in the last 12 hours, that doesn't mean you're cutting your gains short. As long as your daily, weekly, and monthly nutrition plan is more or less on point, you're gonna see gains. Number 2, only go as far as 90 degrees on the bench press. Now, this is actually a bit embarrassing for me because it's just ridiculous, right? The truth is that I used to insist on cutting the range of motion for the bench short because I used to think that going past 90 degrees disengaged the chest and increased the risk of a shoulder injury. But now, I think everyone knows that the deeper you go, the more chest engagement you'll have, and that's because you're getting a deeper stretch on the chest. Also, as long as you keep your shoulders packed, they'll be out of harm's way even when the barbell touches your chest, and therein lies the problem. I was never taught how to properly pack my shoulders as a young trainer, and that's the only reason myself or my clients were experiencing shoulder pain while benching. If you don't pack your shoulders, your elbows flare out too much, and you end up benching more over your shoulders and neck versus your chest. But another issue with 90-degree bench pressing is that there are still trainers out there, advocating a 90-degree range of motion, saying it's how you keep tension on the chest. Like, this is pure garbage, guys. Since when does the weight get lighter and easier to move below 90 degrees on a bench press?
Oh yeah, that's heavy. Oh, it feels so heavy. So easy. Oh, not heavy again. Oh, so heavy. top part of the movement's so heavy because there's no tension at the bottom.
Muscle is built through the mechanisms of muscle damage, metabolic stress, and mechanical tension. To take advantage of all three, you have to go all the way down to rip and tear into the fibers and allow them to rebuild bigger and stronger. Not only that, but it's actually more dangerous to go as far down as 90 degrees as opposed to full range of motion, and that's because any range of motion you do not train in, you will have weakness. I've seen more injuries from people, and not from lifting super heavy weights, because let's say you have like 200 pounds or more on the barbell, and your entire lifting career, you've only ever benched to about 90 degrees, right? Then that one day when you go a bit too low, that's going to be the day something pops, because your body hasn't built up the required strength to handle a heavy load below 90 degrees. It's just common sense, right? So what's the conclusion? Start with weights you can handle and become stronger throughout the entire range of motion. This way, as you get stronger and stronger, you'll be able to support the entire range of motion as opposed to just fragments of it. The third thing I regret teaching is don't squat past 90 degrees. I know, very similar to the previous one and still just as embarrassing. Guys, you really do have to squat past 90 degrees, and it's for many reasons. Number one, more muscle growth. Again, the same argument as before. The bigger the range of motion, the more muscle fiber engagement you're getting. Plus, you're also placing a deeper stretch on your quads and glutes, especially if high bar squatting. Number two, less chance of an injury. Believe it or not, your knees are meant to bend past 90 degrees. Shocking, right? It's actually healthy for the hip joints to sit underneath your knee joints, and it will actually prevent hip and knee pain in the future if you squat the correct way, which is all the way down. Number three, better bowel movement. Yeah, I just went there. A deep squat is how our ancestors used to poop. They didn't have fancy toilet seats, so they had to squat down to take a dump. True story. Believe it or not, though, going into a deep squat engages the deep abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor, massages the lower intestines, and aids in healthy digestion and defecation. True story. Also, if you have to poop in the woods one day and have to stand up mid because your legs are giving out, you could poop in your pants, and that's not cool. Number four, helps prevent muscle imbalances. It's true that going only to 90 degrees keeps your glutes and hamstrings out of the movement, but that's not something you generally want to do, and there's better ways to do that than doing 90-degree squats. You want to keep your quads, glutes, and hamstrings working in synergy every single time you squat. Not to mention, stopping at 90 degrees actually places more stress on the knee joint because you're not taking advantage of the stretch reflex of your quads, therefore the tension transfers right onto your knees. So, if you want more quad-focused training, instead of doing 90-degree squats, front squats. Just don't do half reps, guys. The fourth thing I regret teaching you guys is keep perfect form all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Proper form is crucial in order to prevent injuries, especially as a beginner. You need to spend a lot of time learning and mastering the perfected form for the basic compound movements that will act as the foundation for your strength and obviously your physique, right? However, sticking with proper form year after year after year will only lead to stagnation with your gains. Why? Well, it's like this. I've watched many people become so fascinated with perfect form at the cost of actually overloading their muscles and introducing new stimulus to their body. Sure, perfect form is the basic rule you learn the first day you step into the gym. However, in order to improve and break through plateaus, you have to also learn how to bend the rules here and there. Now, I'm not saying use only momentum to no end, like don't just do it all the time. I'm saying utilize momentum in a smart way in order to get the weight moving and then slowly control the negative on every single repetition. Besides, we also now know that it's the negative or the eccentric of most exercises that creates the most micro tears in the muscle tissue, leading to muscle adaptation and growth. So if you're limiting the weight you're able to control on the negative by emphasizing proper form on the positive or concentric range of motion of the movement, you're effectively decreasing the intensity of your workouts. A great way to learn how to implement momentum into your workouts and introduce maximum muscle overload is trying my Cheat and Recover program. This is my most advanced program I've ever created, and it is not for beginners. The entire program is based off a single premise. Perform 8 cheat reps by using some momentum on the concentric phase of the range of motion of the movement, and then immediately after that, drop the weight and perform 8 additional clean reps with perfect form. This is how you get the best from both worlds. I suggest downloading my app Muscular Strength and giving it a try if you haven't already. You will not be disappointed, and your body will change in ways you never even thought possible. I guarantee it. Next, we have Condemning full body training. Guys, back in the day, I used to be a know-it-all. Probably still am, right, Ricky? Yeah? Okay. And while there were many successful athletes utilizing full body workouts and getting amazing gains, I was hell-bent on traditional bro split programs because I was getting results from them. So why are bro splits bad for you? Well, it's not that they're bad, it's just they might not be optimal for you in terms of how fast you want to make your gains. Now, I'm not saying you'll make 0 gains with a bro split program, but that's not to say that you couldn't make more gains if you were to follow maybe an upper-lower split, push-pull legs, or even better, full body training. Now, the problem with bro split training is that you're only training each muscle group once a week. Monday's chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday legs, Thursday arms, and Friday shoulders. And at some point, you're probably going to train abs as long as you don't skip. Ricky skips abs all the time, so that's why we came to this schedule right here. So you're familiar with this type of training, right, guys? But the thing is, muscle protein synthesis only occurs for up to 48 hours after you've trained a muscle group. But if you were to follow a full body program, you'd be training chest 2 or even 3 times per week. So by the time muscle protein synthesis stops, you've effectively jump-started it right back up, so you're growing all week long. But a lot of you guys are going to probably ask, what about volume? People always say that with full body training, you can only execute so many working sets for a certain body part before you move on to the next one. And that can be a problem. Well, it's true that you only can do so many working sets, but if you think it's a problem, you're wrong because, again, you're not viewing the big picture. It's like this, guys, right? Bro split training. You're training chest once a week and you're doing, let's say, 18 working sets in a single day, all right? You can only beat a muscle so many times throughout the day. Full body training, you're training chest 3 times a week and you're doing 6 working sets each time for a total of 18 total working sets spread over the entire week. So what's the difference? You still get 18 and 18, right? Well, you're doing the same amount of total volume, but your frequency is up from 1 to 3 times a week, which means you're stimulating growth multiple times a week versus only once. This is how you maximize your gains and your time in the gym. And the last thing I regret teaching is placing tricep kickbacks in an arm routine as if they're going to help you build big arms. No more tricep kickbacks. Guys, I remember a time when I was incorporating tricep kickbacks into some of my old routines, like my arms were going to explode because of the pump, right? But in reality, tricep kickbacks are an exercise that really just belongs in the garbage. Now, is it truly a bad exercise? No exercise is really necessarily bad. It all depends on how you use it, right? But any exercise you try that's not a triceps kickback will be better than a triceps kickback for overall arm growth, in my opinion. Therefore, your time will be more effectively utilized doing something else. Let's say, for example, it's the end of your workout and you have time for 3 sets of kickbacks. Allocate this time instead to hit a few sets of skull crushers or overhead extensions or even diamond push-ups will stimulate your triceps more. You can't really overload with the triceps kickback, and unless you're using a cable machine, there is very little tension on the triceps throughout pretty much half the movement. The only scenario in which I would see myself still suggesting tricep kickbacks to one of my clients would be if they suffered from a severe case of mind-muscle disassociation, which means that their mind-muscle connection is really bad. Let me explain. In this case, I can see how the exercise can help you establish a better connection to your triceps because the movement really does emphasize the contraction of the triceps due to the high positioning of the elbows. This is because when your elbow is back and behind your torso, that's when your triceps can really contract and fire, and it's because the long head of the triceps crosses the shoulder joint and contributes to shoulder extension. But once proper mind-muscle connection is established, we move right on over to dips or the close grip bench press, because at the end of the day, you can only lift so much weight with a triceps kickback before you start to use all kinds of momentum. Your elbow stops dropping. It's just not an optimal exercise, okay? Stay away from it. Do the stuff that really works. I hope you guys had some fun going down memory lane with me. Make sure you click the link in my pinned comment below to ensure your video notifications for my channel are set from occasional to all. That way, you never miss a new video upload from me. Also, the next episode of Insta-Gahhhbage is coming soon, but before that, episode 1 of Insta-Gold is going to drop, and I think you all will really like my first guest in the series. So get ready, and as always, more good stuff coming soon. I wasn't kidding when I told you guys that my Cheat and Recover program is my most advanced program I've ever created. In fact, it's probably going to be one of the most advanced training programs that you've ever seen online. So if you want to try it, click the link below, download my app, Muscular Strength, and use the code MS7 when you sign up as a Platinum member, and you can try it for 1 week free. And if you happen to make it to the end of the week and can do week 2, I guess you can stick around. But I don't know, Ricky. Do you think they can handle Cheat and Recover? Maybe we'll have to put out an easier program for those of you who probably can't handle it. But for those of you who think you can, let's see it. See you guys there.